So anyways, just thought I'd make a quick video, some general news stuff that may be important, in case, and other people who don't watch the news, in case you don't watch the news, there's like a huge protest going on in Egypt, millions of people taking the streets. They're demanding the president, um, Hosni Mubarak, pretty sure. They're protesting. Basically, the guy's been in power for 30 years. Egypt has no term limits, so he keeps getting elected with like 88% of the vote. And I'm not sure if it's voter fraud or what's going on, but um, basically, millions of people have been protesting and want him to step down. He announced today that he will, excuse me, not run for re-election, but he stopped short of saying he'd resign immediately or in the next like few weeks. So I kind of expect those protests to continue. Basically, he dismissed. It was awesome. He dismissed the entire government, like all of the, you know, I guess the administrative staff or whatever, and it kind of like missed the point. Like people weren't in the streets because the Secretary of the Treasury or whatever was doing something. They were protesting his presidency. So I thought that was pretty funny. It was kind of like, I think you may have misunderstood us. Um, but anyway, so that's been going on. What else? Verizon gets the iPhone starting. Technically, it releases Thursday for current Verizon customers. Um, Next Thursday for everybody else. And I'm wondering how long it's going to take for people to have a backlash to Verizon's 3G network speed. Because if you don't know anything about network speed, as far as network speeds go, um, of the 3G networks, Verizon and Sprint have the slowest. AT&T's 3G network is the same basic technology as what um, AT&T and T-Mobile use for 4G. They just have improved upon the formula and the equipment and blah blah blah. So, anyways, the truth of the matter is that most of the times, under ideal conditions, 3G on T-Mobile or AT&T is going to be a whole lot faster than Verizon. Um, and of course, Verizon CDMA network doesn't let you do simultaneous data and phone. So if you're like on the phone, you can't be like, hold on a second while I look something up, unless you're on Wi-Fi. So Verizon's network has its downsides, namely speed and you know multitasking in that sense. Um, so it'll be interesting to see, if people are dissatisfied or if they're, like the coverage and whatever. I'm not even tempted. I have a feeling that after having a G2 that has access to T-Mobile's 4G network, the HSPA Plus, I feel like, going to a phone that has, a tenth of that bandwidth, um, would probably be a problem. Because, I mean, T-Mobile's coverage isn't perfect. Um, but when you're talking speed and you're talking, on a magnitude of 10 times faster, I can be swayed with that. I can overlook some coverage holes for 10 times faster speed at cheaper prices. So, anyways, but Verizon launching the iPhone. And on a side note, actually, Verizon will be offering up their first phone that works on the 3G network that does do data and voice at the same time. The HTC Thunderbolt, which is basically Verizon's version of the Evo, will include support for SVDO, which is the same, it operates the same network, so the speeds aren't going to be faster on the 3G network, but you can multitask. I have a feeling that, with how bandwidth is after, you know, call quality or speed has to suffer on, it's not as though they can deliver the best of both worlds. But that phone does also include support for Verizon's LTE network, which is rolling out now. and will be rolling out for the next few years. And that's a proper 4G network, super fast. So check coverage maps wherever you can. Trying to think what else tech wise. I don't. Google's having their Android event tomorrow. They're supposed to, or it's rumored they're going to unveil cloud-based app purchasing and possibly music downloads. So basically, one of the things I really like about Android is that you're not tied to iTunes. You give up iTunes syncing for having like a self-contained. One of the things that bothers me so much about iTunes is that if you do have to do a restore, you have to plug it into a computer. Um, so like if you, I don't know, screw something up on your phone and you're like, okay, I just want to go back to like it was when I got it out of the box. An Android phone, you just hit reset. It takes a few minutes. You log back in. It will automatically download all of your the programs that you had previously. It's genius like that. Um, it's much more cloud based, whereas iTunes, you've got to either manually download each app. After, well, once you restore it, you've got to have it plugged into iTunes, so you can go ahead and download the apps that way. But it's a whole lot less self-contained. It's much more reliant, and I think Google's kind of got the right and really cool idea, being able to go online and log on to the Android market and browse on your 15 or 22-inch computer monitor at home, and then send apps wirelessly to your phone. Super neat. I mean, they're taking the cloud to the next level, but that's coming up. Can't think of any other tech news. Oh, Intel kind of had a little bit of a setback. They had started shipping their Sandy Bridge chips, which is their next kind of architecture, the first bump of the iCore line. And a few weeks after chips have been shipping, they found there was a manufacturing defect that over time the input and output sensors or connections could start to fail. So I'm not sure if they're talking about input or output on the motherboard, or if they're talking about actual like USB connections stop showing up. But either way, recall in place, manufacturing changes in place, future MacBooks and iMacs possibly delayed. It's like, you guys have been doing this long enough to have that durability testing down pat. But anyways, that's going on. Also, Iowa. It's really funny to see kind of the fits and spurts of gay marriage. In 2009, Iowa Supreme Court legalized gay marriage, and then now some residents of Iowa are trying to get a measure passed through the House and the Senate, a constitutional amendment barring same-sex marriage, civil unions, or any form of domestic partnerships that attribute the same rights as marriage. And then, next door, Illinois just passed civil unions into law. And I have, as I've been started to read constitutional law, I have a hard time, reading the Constitution and, make no law abridging or the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Man, my brain is fried. And seeing how you can, look at the Constitution and look at, it's basically a document setting forth equality, on almost all other major social issues aside, abortion aside, healthcare reform aside, how can you look at gay marriage or the institution of marriage and say, fundamentally that, um, you know, people being able, basically you're entering into a union that has legal and financial ramifications, and every other standard for being able to consent to stuff like that is, you go through like mental test. Is this person able to actually give consent? And there's no real reason, because I'm gay, I can still enter into contracts. Like, I'm not like, there's not a deficiency thing in, at play here. So I have a hard time, looking at the Constitution as this ultimate document that upholds that all men are created equal, unless two men want to get married. So it's interesting. My hope is that somebody comes up with a perfectly legally crafted, legal argument, or legally perfectly crafted, whatever the fuck, a perfect argument that, like, just can go to the Supreme Court of the United States, makes it so clear that, this is a basic injustice, because that's really what's going on. There was a great 19-year-old from Iowa who spoke at sort of a, Q&A period, and basically expressed very eloquently that right that he had raised by two lesbian women, and basically said, hey, there's nothing different from, I'm not any different than your child. My parents raised me. We do the same things that you do with your children. It's just about having equality. And people want to say, I understand civil unions and same-sex, domestic partnerships. That's all good. Like, I'll take that. That's great. But why not equality? Why separate but equal? And you get people who say, marriage is the basis of society, and it's like, actually, if you look to the roots of marriage and you look historically, it was actually about transfer of property. Sorry, ladies. Whenever I see what's her face from Nam, I just want to be like, yeah, the people you're holding up as influential didn't give you the right to vote for a couple centuries. So I'd maybe look into that. Kathleen Madigan did a really funny section of her skit. She was laughing and she's like, I don't understand the ladies of the Tea Parties who are saying they want things, they want what the Founding Fathers wanted. And she's like, ladies, they didn't let us vote. And that's the same thing. Michelle Bachmann recently said that the Founding Fathers worked tirelessly to outlaw slavery. And it's like, actually, the Three-Fifths Compromise kind of enabled slavery, but good job there. So basically, there are these people who really conveniently want to say that, hold up our country and our Constitution and our Founding Fathers as, perfect at birth. Like, they didn't fuck up. And there aren't drastic ways for us to improve. And it's like, who would possibly look at this country and say now that, slavery was okay, or not allowing women the right to vote was okay? You probably get laughed at and or, criticized. But that was what the Founding Fathers, the government they created. So to say that, we can't drastically alter the social construction that is America is craziness. But anyways, okay, that's it for now. Deep breaths. Back to reading.